It was the morning of February 20th, 2025, in Tyus, Georgia. At 7:15 a.m., a 911 call changed everything. On the line was 16-year-old Sarah Grace Patrick, shaking and barely able to speak. She had discovered her mother and stepfather shot dead in their bed. From that moment, the small community would never be the same.
We can confirm that an arrest has been made in the case. Kristen Brock's 17-year-old daughter, Sarah Grace Patrick, has been taken into custody.
Sarah's activity on social media raised questions, even as she maintained a composed appearance in court. The defense's arguments seemed to sway the judge, at least until the prosecution presented a witness that challenged everything.
My 5-year-old niece was then woke up to find their parents lifeless.
Sarah Grace had always seemed like a normal teenager, church-going, polite, and close to her family. She had recently graduated from high school, was working 2 jobs, and appeared to be thriving. But her life took a shocking turn when she was charged with 2 counts of murder. Her grandfather, Dennis Nolan, has been vocal in defending her, questioning the strength of the case and insisting on her innocence. It's all speculative stuff. Nothing puts the gun in her hand. They don't have the gun, Nolan told Fox 5 Atlanta.
Nothing puts the gun in her hand, or they don't have the gun.
Speaking further to News Nation, he admitted that it is difficult to make a definitive judgment at this point. Well, it's hard to make any judgment at this point. They have to release the evidence, and I don't understand what evidence they have. I think most of it, from what I understand, is circumstantial. And, she's my granddaughter. I have to stand behind her. Nolan revealed that he has been in contact with detectives since the incident, and that he has spoken to Sarah directly since her arrest. Yes, she called me from the jail the day after, of course, pleading for me to help her get out, he said. He described her as distraught and struggling to process the charges. She was certainly taking it very hard. She swears by her innocence, he added.
Sarah certainly wasn't going anywhere, but, she's taking it very hard. She swears by her innocence.
Reflecting on Sarah's character, Nolan said, "I've always liked Sarah. She was just an ideal child. She was very proud of her accomplishments and was doing very well in life."
I don't know what else to say. I mean, she's always been a good kid. I've always liked Sarah. She was always very friendly, and she never really asked for anything. She was a very, to me, she was just an ideal child. She had just graduated from high school. She was very proud of that. She was working 2 jobs. She was doing very well, and I don't understand what could have ever, if she did do this, what triggered it.
When asked if he believed she was responsible, he was firm. No. To sum up, really, the detectives, the best they could tell me was the evidence says that she's the only one who could possibly have done it. That says to me that there's no real evidence that says she did do it.
No, I think, to sum it up, really, the detectives, the best they could tell me was the evidence says that she's the only one who could possibly have done it. That says to me that there's no real evidence that says she did do it.
Despite the severity of the charges, Nolan remains steadfast. Unless something has changed, you are innocent until proven guilty. Well, not only this. Family members of the victims took the stand, their grief raw and unfiltered. Her stepfather's sister pleaded with the judge. Sarah could not be trusted outside bars. "If she can do this to her own parents," she said, "I fear for everyone's safety." Her younger sister's trauma, the terror of discovering her parents' bodies, became a central point. Every word chipped away at Sarah's composure, her confident facade beginning to crack.
My 5-year-old niece was then woke up to find their parents lifeless. The trauma this innocent child will carry for the rest of her life is unfathomable.
It was early February 20th, 2025. The sun had barely risen over Carrollton, Georgia. The house on Tyus Road was quiet. except for a small alarm beeping steadily in the bedroom. 5-year-old Jaylee Brock did not know why it was so loud. Her father, James Brock, had a heart condition and relied on a device called an LVAD. If it beeped, it meant something was wrong, but Jaylee did not know about heart machines or alarms. All she knew was that Mommy and Daddy were supposed to be awake and something felt very, very wrong. She tiptoed to their bedroom, tiny feet on cold wood floors. What she saw stopped her in her tracks. Mommy and Daddy were lying there. At first, it almost looked like they were sleeping. Then she saw the red, the pools of blood, the gunshot wounds. 5-year-old Jaylee could not understand. She screamed. Her cries bounced off the walls, echoing through the house. 17-year-old Sarah rushed in, her heart racing. Her little sister's tears were endless. Sarah tried to calm her down, tried to tell her it was okay, but it was not okay. The world had just broken. Sarah grabbed her phone and called 911. Within minutes, half a dozen police officers arrived, running through the front door, eyes wide, weapons drawn. They found James and Kristen Brock together in the bed. Multiple gunshot wounds, no signs of struggle, no broken windows, nothing stolen. The house had been quiet, familiar. The murder scene said one thing. Someone inside knew the family well. Someone knew the routines, the doors, the locks. Someone lived there. In the weeks after the murders, a woman named Caitlin O'Keefe stepped into the story. She was a family friend and former friend of Sarah's biological father. After the murders, she became the guardian of the 2 children, taking care of both Sarah and Jaylee. Caitlin testified in court during Sarah's bond hearing, telling the judge about the teenager's life after the tragedy. "She worked really hard and graduated a year early," Caitlin said. As she spoke, Sarah broke down in the courtroom. Tears ran down her face. Caitlin spoke of Sarah's struggle to return to normal life after losing her mother and stepfather. She described how Sarah tried to continue school, finish homework, and act like nothing had happened, but the courtroom could see the pain. The judge listened, then denied bond. Family members were concerned she might be a danger, a risk to herself or others. The Brock family had a story full of second chances. Kristen Brock, the mother, had traveled a rough road. She was 41 at the time of her death. Her first marriage to Daniel Patrick ended in 2018 after 10 years. That marriage had 2 children, Sarah Grace Patrick and her younger brother, Donnie. The divorce was bitter. Court documents show Kristen had serious drug problems, and Daniel fought for custody of Sarah and Donnie. The children had been exposed to dangerous situations, and Daniel worried for their safety. Eventually, the court awarded joint custody. Kristen had primary care, while Daniel saw the kids on weekends and holidays. But trouble did not end there. Kristen remarried James Brock, 45, who had a son named Jay from a previous relationship. James had advanced heart failure and relied on a left ventricular assist device, a machine that kept his heart pumping. He was awaiting a heart transplant. That machine would later become important in the investigation because it recorded alarm sounds that morning. The blended family had ups and downs. There were arguments, police reports, and even accusations of reckless driving with children in the car. James accused Kristen of deliberately trying to run him over with the family car, with Sarah and Jaylee in the back seat. Charges were eventually dropped, and Kristen and James married in December 2023. The family tried to appear normal. They attended church, went to school events, and celebrated birthdays. But underneath, tension simmered. Sarah's childhood had been chaotic. She had watched her parents fight, then her mother fight her father, then arguments about drugs, custody, and discipline. In 2019, Daniel filed an emergency custody application claiming Kristen and James were exposing the children to drugs. Sarah, just 11 at the time, told the police she felt unsafe. She wanted to live with her father. A court initially agreed, but 5 days later, the ruling was overturned. By March 2020, The court ordered equal custody and mandated that Sarah be placed in counseling immediately. 2 years later, the family moved again. Sarah stayed with her father during the week and returned to her mother on weekends. But small incidents turned into bigger problems. Arguments, legal filings, and police involvement became routine. By 2025, Sarah was 16, moving between homes, witnessing family tension, and now suddenly facing a tragedy she could not have imagined. Sarah, now 17, was arrested in July 2025. She turned herself in after the police said they had mountains of physical and digital evidence. Her father, Daniel, accompanied her. He insisted she was innocent, claiming police did not follow proper procedures during her interrogation. He said Sarah had named other people who could have been involved. Investigators said they had no signs of forced entry. One door was slightly ajar, but nothing appeared stolen. They collected mountains of evidence, including a live stream of Sarah giving a eulogy at her mother's funeral. Investigators believed the performance might have been an attempt to divert attention, yet no clear motive existed. The whole town had gathered for the memorial at Catalyst Church. Friends and family cried openly. Candles flickered. People held each other, sobbing for James and Kristen Brock. Sarah stepped up to the podium. Her face was pale, eyes glistening. She spoke in a calm, steady voice. Her words were clear, polished. Everyone noticed. Her control felt strange, almost cold. Mothers whispered to one another. Children clung to their parents. Sarah's calmness did not match the room's grief. It was later investigators found something troubling. Sarah had been using TikTok. She sent messages to true crime influencers. She wanted them to cover her parents' deaths, like pitching a story. She didn't ask for help. She asked for attention. In March, she shared a slideshow of her mother and stepfather with soft music playing. The words she wrote chilled the detectives. They don't know it, but a year from now, me and my 5-year-old sister would find them wrongfully shot dead in our home, and they won't get to watch me graduate high school, see me walk down the aisle, or even say goodbye. She added, "I miss you guys. Save a seat for me in heaven." Over the next weeks, she kept posting. A video of herself with tears streaking her cheeks, a selfie in bed, sobbing. Another on the way to the funeral, trying to hold back tears. Her captions were heartbreaking, yet suspicious. One read, "This can't be real. OTW to my parents' funeral." Investigators noted the patterns. She wasn't just grieving. She was carefully recording, documenting, almost performing. Family members spoke out. Kristen Dowda, niece of James Brock, said, "If this is true, it was very calculated."
If this comes out to be true, that this was Sarah, then I think it was very calculated.
She explained Sarah had always shown two sides. The one everyone saw, a sweet, quiet teenager, and another, hidden from outsiders. Dowda added, "Jamie warned us. You don't know the real Sarah. She's not who she portrays."
Jamie has told us multiple times that you don't know the real Sarah. She's not who she portrays she is. She's not this sweet, kind girl that you all see.
Dowda and others noted inconsistencies in Sarah's statements. She claimed to hear the heart monitor that night, but no gunshots. "How do you not hear the gunshots?" Dowda asked. There were at least 4 shots, loud and piercing. The heart monitor sounded loudly, yet Sarah slept through it, she said.
She has never admitted to hearing the shots themselves. She did say she heard the heart monitor, and while loud, of course it is, but that we know that there was at minimum 4 gunshots that night. So when you combine 4 gunshots and a heart monitor, that's a lot of noise for a house for you not to hear.
The contradictions added weight to the suspicions. Investigators uncovered systematic contacts. Sarah reached out across TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. She sent messages to creators asking them to cover her parents' murders. Screenshots were saved, turned over to police. The defense said she was processing grief. Prosecutors said it looked planned. like controlling the story before anyone else could. Each message, each post, added layers to the investigation. Sarah's alleged best friend also spoke online. She commented on videos, trying to defend her. She described Sarah as struggling, traumatized, and lost. Yet investigators weighed these statements against digital footprints. Every post, every slideshow, every text became part of the case. James Brock's LVAD was another key point. The device kept his heart pumping. It had an alarm that sounded if something was wrong. Sarah admitted online she heard the alarm between 11:40 p.m. and 11:50 p.m., the night before the murders. Yet she claimed to have slept through the night. Investigators noted the alarm was loud, persistent, critical. Missing the alarm raised serious questions. Could she have slept through it, or had she ignored it? The alarm's sound became a piece of evidence as important as the blood in the bedroom. Forensic teams returned again and again. The murders had been carried out at close range. Both victims were asleep. Ballistics showed precise angles. Blood spatter confirmed the shots were calculated. No defensive wounds, minimal disturbance in the bedroom. Downstairs, the house seemed normal. Neighbors said they heard nothing unusual. One mistook gunshots for fireworks. Investigators collected fingerprints, fibers, digital evidence. Every detail mattered. Sarah Grace Patrick, 16 at the time of the killings, turned herself in to authorities in July 2025. She faced 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of aggravated assault. Later, additional charges were added: malice murder and possession of a firearm during a felony. She became the central figure in a case that gripped Carrollton. Led by TJ Repetto, investigators sifted through mountains of evidence. They worked with the FBI, the GBI crime lab, and private forensic labs. Digital posts, heart monitor alarms, text messages, ballistics, and physical evidence were all examined. No detail was ignored. Investigators spent months compiling the sequence of events. Sheriff Terry Langley, Captain Guy Pope, and Lieutenant Jackson Lawrence oversaw the investigation. They made clear, real justice takes time. No stone was left unturned. They confirmed Sarah was in custody, fully charged, and the investigation remained ongoing. New evidence could emerge at any time. Neighbors, family, and friends followed every update. Suspicion and grief mingled in the community. Questions swirled. Had Sarah acted alone? Was someone else involved? How could a teenager commit such a crime? Could her social media activity show calculated behavior? Could the LVAD alarm reveal the timeline of the murders? The courtroom was packed. Everyone waited to see Sarah Grace Patrick. She was 17 now, facing charges for the deaths of her mother, Kristen Brock, and stepfather, James Brock. Her eyes were calm, her hands folded neatly. She appeared confident, almost like she belonged there, even though the room was heavy with grief and suspicion. The hearing started. Her friends and church members spoke first. Some wore shirts that said, "I stand with Sarah." They described her as kind, polite, and church-going. Carrie Jensen, a family friend, told the judge, "She just doesn't have this in her. She is not the evil person the Brock family is making her out to be."
She just doesn't have this in her. She is not the evil person that the Brock family is making her out to be.
Pastor Ben Booner explained how Sarah had called him in jail to pray and talk about the books she was reading. He said, hurting someone simply isn't in her nature or character. She remained incredibly kind, respectful, and patient. Then it was time for the family of the victims. The air changed. Kim Bowling, James Brock's sister, spoke first. Her voice trembled as she told the judge what it felt like seeing the girl who might have killed her brother. "I was just nervous. Nervous because I know what she's accused of doing, and I'm not going to back down," she said, tears running down her cheeks.
I was just nervous because I know what she's accused of doing, and I'm not going to back down.
If the defendant can kill her own parents in such a violent manner, I fear for my own safety and the safety of my family and friends.
If the defendant can kill her own parents in such a violent manner, I fear for my own safety and the safety of my family and friends.
Next, 12-year-old Jaden didn't speak for himself. Instead, family friend Kelly Brown stepped forward to deliver his words, her voice soft but steady. He doesn't understand why this happened, Brown said on his behalf. He misses his mom and dad every single day, and he just can't understand how anyone could do something like this to them. The room fell silent. Hearing Jaden's pain through someone else somehow made it hit even harder, pulling everyone back to that devastating February morning when his little sister Jaylee had been the one to find their parents.
Your Honor, I'm speaking this morning on behalf of the 12-year-old son of Jamie Brock. He is not able to emotionally speak in front of people. He is here in the courtroom today. And so I'm just going to read you what he wrote, okay? My name is Jaden Brock, and I am 12 years old. I wanted to talk today because my dad and stepmom was shot and killed. I miss him every day. My dad was my hero and the person I looked up to the most. We did everything together. He helped me with school, and he always made me laugh, and we joked around a lot. Since he died, everything has changed. I feel sad and confused. It's hard to sleep, it's hard to focus, and it's even hard to smile sometimes. I still wait to hear his voice or see him walk through the door, but I know that will never happen again. What makes me more sad is I trusted Sarah and I loved her like a sister. Why would she do this to me? And why would she hurt everyone like this? I don't understand why someone would do this, but I know it is not right. My dad and Kristen didn't deserve this. No one does. And I don't think someone who could do something like this should be allowed to go free right now. I wouldn't feel safe, and I would be so scared. Please think about what my family is going through. I hope you make a decision that protects us and remembers who my dad was. A good man, a loving dad who didn't deserve to die. Thank you for listening to me.
The judge, Dustin Hightower, listened to every statement. He weighed the words of Sarah's supporters against the warnings from the family. He looked at the evidence, the social media posts, the LVAD alarm, and the questions that still hung in the air. Then he spoke. I believe those closest to Patrick have vast concerns, he said. She could flee while on bond, and she would pose a continuing danger to the victim's family and the community. Sarah sat quietly. Her confident exterior did not falter, but inside, she must have felt the weight of the room pressing down. The judge continued, "This is not daytime court TV, and this is not for entertainment. We are here to apply the law, and I will do that to the best of my ability." The decision was final. Bond was denied. Sarah Grace Patrick would remain in Carroll County Jail until trial. She would face multiple charges: malice murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, and possession of a firearm during a felony. The hearing left the town divided. Supporters said the teenager was a troubled girl who needed help, not punishment. Others said the evidence, her social media activity, and the nature of the murders showed premeditation and control. Questions still floated in the air. Had she truly acted alone? Could digital forensics prove her involvement beyond doubt? Would investigators uncover new leads from her devices? Even after the hearing ended, the work continued. Forensic teams examined Sarah's phones and computers. Investigators planned to reconstruct the timeline of that night, using messages, posts, and digital footprints. Every post, every picture, every comment could be a piece of the puzzle. Authorities also suggested that other arrests connected to the case might still occur. But that's not all. A $5,000 reward was offered for any information leading to an arrest and conviction in the murders of Kristen and James Brock. Dennis Nolan, Kristen's father, announced the reward just 3 days after the killings, hoping it would help bring justice. He shared that his daughter had texted him before her death, saying she loved him, adding urgency and heartbreak to the plea for answers. Well, the case hung in the air like a storm cloud, ready to break, and no one knew what the next chapter would reveal. Thanks for watching. This case is far from over, and the courtroom moments are only getting more intense. What do you think about the family's testimony and the evidence so far? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you found this breakdown helpful, hit like and don't forget to subscribe. It really helps the channel and keeps you updated on every new twist in this story.